we had salt flats on surface, and importantly, the result was 918 milligrams per liter. So very strong result, one that would rival, I think, anybody that would be operating in LATAM or otherwise. And we are extremely excited by this result.
Hello and welcome to viewers tuning in to Assay TV. In this session, I'm joining Ion Energy, who are the first company exploring and developing Mongolia's lithium salars. And I'm pleased to be speaking with Ali Haji, CEO and director of the company. Hello again, Ali.
Adam, good to be here as always.
Yeah, so last time we spoke, we got a good update of your projects, but more recently there's been an actual brine discovery at Urgakh Naran. Could you talk us through the lithium project there and the discovery itself as well?
Of course, I think it's important for our viewers to note that we operate in Mongolia. We are first movers in Mongolia, which means we don't have the necessary skill set in Mongolia to advance our projects, much like you would have seen in LATAM. The Lithium Triangle, for instance, folks have been able to rally as far as their equity is concerned. And for us, for Ion Energy, we had to take a more responsible approach. We had to ensure that we're using shareholder capital in the best way possible. And the way to do that is to ensure that we have industry experts alongside us when we visit site. And so you rightly pointed out that we'd have a brine discovery, but a bit of background around that. In February, we had an opportunity to get out to, or rather have conversations, I beg your pardon, have conversations with our technical team in country. We started planning for a site visit in March and April. We then had a number of holes planned on our Urgakh Naran asset, as well as some TEM geophysics that we would undertake when we were in country. And for the folks that are new to the story, Ion Energy, of course, is a lithium brine explorer in Mongolia, as Adam rightly pointed out. But importantly, I think we've added some very strong names from a technical perspective. So Don Haynes is my chief technical advisor. He's an individual that's worked on lithium assets around the world. He knows both the brine and the hard rock space very well. In fact, he sits on the OSC committee for lithium companies before they're allowed to go public, so that they get to validate what a 43101 truly is before they're allowed to go public. He's been to Mongolia a number of times. He's been to China, and he's seen the Qinghai Brines, which are about 1,500 kilometers away from us. And beyond that, we also took Dr. Mark King with us. And Dr. Mark King was the qualified person on file at Neo Lithium when they sold to Zijin. He was also the qualified person that wrote the very first few 43101s on Lithium Americas. So we designed a program that ensured that we're getting a good sense of our basin. We were pleasantly surprised, having gone out there after a 2.5-year hiatus. The vast majority of the Google videos that or Google satellite photos that you see are taken during the 2 weeks of rainfall in country. And so it did not appear to be a salar. And Adam, I'm sure you'll overlay some of the images with respect to what the salt flats look like. And so when we were out there, we were able to not only see the auger rigs in action, drilling. We had a 25-man exploration camp on site that we spent a fair bit of time in. We also had the ability to see the geophysics team in action and determine what work they were doing. So they ultimately sent the data over to Zonj in the US. They're currently evaluating that. But importantly, to highlight, what you just essentially asked me, Adam, is the brine discovery. And if you look historically at a number of lithium brine projects in LATAM or otherwise that were essentially started off of what can be said to be a Coke bottle sample. So you're essentially picking up the brine on surface in a bottle. You're then assaying it for the hydrometer readings as well as the ultimate chemical composition. And we had natural evaporation ponds on surface. We had salt flats on surface. And importantly, the result was 918 milligrams per liter. So very strong result, one that would rival, I think, anybody that would be operating in LATAM or otherwise. And we are extremely excited by this result and also seeing, in fact, that the basin at Urgakh Naran, with a 29,000 hectare license, the basin covers around 17,000 hectares. So very promising early days. We will have some more news flow coming into PDAC, which starts in Toronto next week. But we're extremely keen to get that out to market on Bavayol. We're also planning some additional exploration programs there, which will be announced alongside the Urgakh Naran expansion. So very excited as a company.
Yeah, fantastic. Excellent context there, and very exciting times with the samples. Just to delve into that a little bit more specifically, are you waiting on any more sampling to come back from the Coke bottle sort of surface stage? Have you covered enough of the areas that you want to? And then also, what's the next phase? How are you going to extend this to a deeper level?
Fantastic question. So we did only collect one brine sample on surface. We did collect some sort of, you can call them rock chips or sediment chips, if you will, on surface that were assayed as well. Those were obviously fast-tracked because it is just, like a handful or less than that, actually, 3 samples. So we received that 918 milligrams per liter. We drilled 72 holes using proper hydrogeological sampling methods, which is you drill down, in our case, down to 12 meters. If you hit the water table, you drill 2 more meters. If you hit basement, you stop. You wait 24 hours, you bail out the hole at least twice, and then come back to the hole to measure the brine samples or collect the brine samples for measurement. So those have been submitted to lab. You look at surface, you look at 918 on the literally on surface, and then whatever you find below that is indicative of what's happening in sort of that drainage basin. But more importantly for us, the geophysics that we've currently completed, over 88 line kilometers, will allow us to determine the depth of that basin. So we're currently designing where the monitoring wells will go down in the Urgakh Naran basin. And as far as Bab Ayol is concerned, much the same. So we received some results, which I think we've shown to market. We showed them, we had the 1502 ppm White Wolf prospect. That was a drilling program that was only down to 6 meters using an auger rig that allowed us to scratch the surface. But now we can plan a more extensive program, given we've trained people in country to be able to explore for lithium brine. So lots to come from us, a very busy summer. Obviously, PDAC is around the corner here, and we'll be presenting on Monday on Mongolia Day alongside the Mongolian delegation. We're hosting a number of ministers and government delegates. And then on Tuesday, we'll be having our own cocktails. So we will be on the floor at PDAC. Everybody that is watching this video is welcome to pop by with any questions that they may have, any ad hoc meetings, what have you, happy to have those as well. So a lot of work this summer, a lot of extensive sort of a lot of work this summer to allow us to better understand our assets. And so stay tuned. We have a lot of catching up to do as far as our equity price relative to our peers. And now that we have access to country and we've built a world-class team, stay tuned.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a question quickly around sort of the situational play and the long-term strategy. You're very well positioned close to China, being the leader of battery manufacturing, I suppose. That's an advantage there. But what can you talk about in terms of your relationships with the Chinese battery sector? And then also the lithium market at this current point as well, just for viewers who would be interested. We hear from analysts and we hear from investors, but it'd be great to get your view as a corporate CEO around how strategically important the lithium play can be in the moment.
Of course, valid question. I think, that's something that most people skirt around. They don't really talk about it all that much. With respect to our proximity to the largest consumer that you rightly pointed out, China today consumes 53% of the world's lithium. They refine, in excess of 75% of the world's lithium, produce about 80% of the batteries that go into vehicles worldwide. And folks tend to forget, you have BYD, you have Geely, you have a number of different manufacturers in China that produce far more vehicles than Tesla, which is a household name in the Western world. But as you know, Tesla has some facilities in China as well. So our proximity to that massive market is obviously of importance, and we continue to realize that. But I think more importantly, when we look at this clean green energy revolution, we talk about it as being clean and green, meaning you're essentially offsetting your carbon footprint. When you're shipping lithium concentrates or carbonate equivalent from LATAM, 15,000 nautical miles from the largest consumer, That's quite the carbon footprint. And I think Bloomberg today put an article out with respect to what the true cost is of this clean green energy revolution, and is it truly green? So I think for us, when we look at it from an environmental footprint perspective, being essentially on the doorstep of the largest consumer, that allows us to offset a lot of the carbon that is being produced in order to ship this lithium from around the world over to China. And then beyond that, as far as the lithium market is concerned, we know this is happening. We know countries such as Norway have set targets as far as 2025 with respect to full electrification of their transportation needs. But you have to recognize the fact that lithium prices today are based on spot contracts. They're based on contracts that are offtake type agreements between sort of consumer and producer. And so you're seeing a bit of consolidation in this space as far as Zijin going out there and acquiring Neo Lithium. They just acquired another mine in Tibet. You're seeing new players that have never really dwelled in the lithium space sort of step in. You're seeing manufacturers of vehicles become miners or owners of mines. The price of lithium today at between, it changes day over day, but between 76 and as high as 80,000 per LCE ton equivalent. That is not sustainable in our view. We believe that if you had prices that high, you would ultimately reach a point where the equivalent of a Mini Cooper, for instance, if that were to be fully electric, despite lithium only being 4% of the batteries, the cost would be well in excess of 100,000 US per vehicle. Now, you can have governments around the world subsidize and print as much capital as you possibly can. But with current inflation rates, it's not a sustainable growth model. So you're seeing unconventional resources come online. You're seeing new discoveries being made in both the hard rock and the brine space. And this will help abate some of the pricing that we're seeing today. And if we had an opportunity to have lithium trade on an exchange such as the LME, let's not talk about nickel, but if it were to trade on the LME, then you would have some sort of control over the pricing there. So I think we're in this spot now where supply is constrained and will continue to be so. The prices will have to come down as a result of new production coming online as well. But the macro side of the house, or sort of the regulatory side of the house, as far as government mandates, pretty much ensures that we're moving towards this future, and lithium will continue to be an element that is required.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very bright future ahead, but a challenge indeed to bring these assets online. But you seem to be racing ahead with that, Ali.
Adam, sorry, I didn't forget to mention this, but you asked about the strategics and sort of who we're speaking with respect to potential partners.
Yeah, indeed.
Ion Energy is a company that we founded on the basis of exploring and ultimately arriving at a resource indication for lithium assets in Mongolia. We've since, having gone public on Bavayol, 81,000 hectares, acquired Urgakh Naran, another 29,000 hectares, so 110,000 hectares in total of highly prospective lithium licenses. We've had some very strong results. We continue to look for additional assets in country that we could acquire or partner with others in order to advance. But importantly, you look at it as an exploration story. It is not a production story. We've never said that we will bring these assets to production. We will always partner with the right people to ensure these assets come to production. So the University of Science and Technology in Mongolia, a big partner of ours that would ultimately benefit from refining capacity or what have you. But beyond that, it's important to note that we do have NDAs in place with a number of Chinese or Asian strategics. We also have an NDA in place with a European strategic. And last but not least, flip it on its head, as oxymoronic as it may sound, it's a sign of consolidation. We have an NDA with a LATAM lithium miner as well. So we do have those strategic conversations ongoing. We are fully funded companies. We're not looking for equity at this time, and that's important for our viewers to note. We'll continue to explore. We will continue to de-risk, and at the right time and at the right price, we will bring in a strategic that allows us to advance our projects.
Yeah, excellent. Well, I'm glad you've outlined that as well. That's a really strong position to be going into the PDAC with, and I hope it's a very receptive audience and meetings for you there next week. So thanks, Ali, for the update. Really good to get the steer on where you're at with the exploration at Ion Energy. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Looking forward to seeing you.
Thank you.